The fluorescent lights of County Memorial Hospital buzzed overhead as Nathan Russo sat slumped in the vinyl chair beside his mother's bed. The rhythmic beeping of medical equipment had become a somber metronome counting down Eleanor Russo's final hours. Nathan rubbed his bloodshot eyes, checking his phone for the 5th time in an hour. Still nothing. Your siblings on their way? Nurse Patel asked gently as she adjusted Eleanor's for. Nathan forced a bitter smile. They should be. I called them all yesterday. 3 days had passed since Eleanor's condition had deteriorated rapidly. 3 days of Nathan sitting vigil alone while his wife Vanessa claimed she couldn't get away from her busy schedule organizing the town's annual charity gala. 3 days of his brother Anthony promising to fly in from Chicago but never arriving. 3 days of his sister Diana texting excuses about her children's activities, making it impossible to visit. The doctor says it won't be long now, Nurse Patel said softly. Do you want me to try calling them again? Nathan shook his head. They know. He gazed at his mother's frail form, remembering how she had been the backbone of their family after his father died 20 years ago. Eleanor had worked 2 jobs to put all 3 children through college, never complaining even as her health began to fail. Now, at 68, cancer was taking her away, and Nathan was the only one who bothered to show up. His phone vibrated. A text for Vanessa. How's it going? Gala preparations are insane. The Williamsons just doubled their donation if I name the silent auction after them. Talk later. No question about Eleanor. No offer to come by. Just society gossip. Nathan pocketed his phone without responding. Their marriage had been deteriorating for years, but Vanessa's absence during this family crisis felt like the final betrayal. At 42, Nathan had built a successful construction company from nothing, provided a luxurious home in Lakeside Heights, and given Vanessa everything she wanted. Yet here he sat alone, watching his mother die. The doctor entered, checked Eleanor's vitals, and gave Nathan a grim nod. It's time to say your goodbyes, Mr. Russo. As if summoned by those words, Eleanor's eyes fluttered open. Nathan, she whispered, her voice barely audible. You came. Of course, Mom, he said, taking her hand. I've been here the whole time. A ghost of a smile touched her lips. The others, they're on their way, he lied, unwilling to burden her with the truth. Eleanor's eyes, though clouded with morphine, showed a surprising clarity. No, they're not. She squeezed his hand weakly. It's okay. I need to tell you something. She motioned for him to come closer, and when he leaned in, she whispered, bottom drawer of my desk. The key is taped under my jewelry box. What you find there will explain everything. Nathan frowned. Mom, what are you? Promise me you'll look, she insisted with sudden urgency. I promise, Nathan said, his throat tight with emotion. Eleanor relaxed against her pillows. You were always the strong one, like your father. Her eyes drifted closed. The others, they're not what you think. The monitor's steady beep became a continuous tone. The doctor rushed forward, but Nathan already knew. Eleanor Russo was gone. As the doctor pronounced the time of death, Nurse Patel approached with an envelope in her hand. She asked me to give you this when it was time. Nathan took the sealed envelope with trembling fingers. His name was written on the front in his mother's elegant script. Outside the hospital room, a commotion erupted. Anthony and Diana had finally arrived, both dressed immaculately, both tearfully demanding to see their mother. You're too late, Nathan said coldly as he stepped into the hallway. She's gone. Diana collapsed dramatically into a chair. We tried to get here. The traffic was terrible. Anthony adjusted his expensive tie. Some of us have responsibilities, Nathan. We can't all drop everything for weeks like you. Behind them stood Vanessa, looking uncomfortable in her designer dress. I came as soon as I could, she murmured, not meeting Nathan's eyes. Convenient timing, Nathan remarked, the envelope heavy in his pocket. All of you arriving exactly after she passed. A hospital administrator approached, clipboard in hand. I'm sorry for your loss. There are some arrangements we need to discuss. As his siblings and wife followed the administrator, arguing already about funeral costs, Nathan slipped away. In his car, he finally opened the letter. My dearest Nathan, if you're reading this, I've gone to join your father. I'm sorry I must burden you with this truth, but you deserve to know. The safe deposit box at First National, key enclosed, contains evidence that Anthony, Diana, and unfortunately your Vanessa have been systematically stealing from both of us for years. The family business your father left, the one Anthony claimed was worthless and sold for our benefit, was actually worth millions. The trust fund that supposedly dried up has been siphoned into offshore accounts. Even your construction company has been compromised. More importantly, you should know that you are not alone in this world. Find Thomas Newberry in Millfield. He will explain the rest. Your loving mother, Eleanor. Nathan sat frozen, the letter clutched in his hands, as rain began to fall against the windshield. Everything he thought he knew about his family had just crumbled to dust. The key turned smoothly in the lock of Eleanor's desk drawer. Inside lay a decades-old leather journal, a USB drive, and several folders neatly labeled with dates. Nathan's hands shook as he opened the first folder. Bank statements, property deeds, corporate documents, and a series of surveillance photos showing Anthony, Diana, and most shockingly, Vanessa, meeting with a man Nathan recognized as Victor Blackwell, his mother's financial advisor. His phone rang. "Vanessa, where are you?" she demanded. "We're all at the lawyer's office for the will reading." "I'll be there," Nathan said coldly. "Don't start without me." When Nathan arrived at the law offices of Bedford and Associates, the tension was palpable. His siblings sat stiffly in leather chairs while Vanessa paced by the window. Finally, Diana huffed. "Some of us have places to be." The lawyer, Samuel Bedford, cleared his throat. "Now that everyone is present, we can proceed with the reading of Eleanor Rousseau's last will and testament." What followed stunned everyone in the room. Eleanor had revised her will just 3 months earlier. The family home, which Anthony had been eyeing for years, was to be sold with proceeds going to cancer research. The valuable art collection Diana had already mentally distributed among her friends was donated to the city museum. Most surprisingly, Nathan was named executor of the estate with explicit instructions that Anthony and Diana receive only token inheritances of $1,000 each. "This is outrageous," Anthony shouted, his face reddening. She wasn't in her right mind. "I'll contest this," Diana threatened, glaring at Nathan. "You manipulated her when she was weak." Bedford remained impassive. The will was witnessed by 2 physicians who certified her mental competence. Additionally, there's a video testament explaining her decisions. Nathan watched his siblings rage, while Vanessa remained suspiciously silent. After the meeting, she approached him cautiously. "Nathan, about dinner tonight." "I won't be home," he interrupted. "Don't wait up." The town of Millfield was an hour's drive, a quaint place Nathan hadn't visited since childhood. Following his mother's instructions, he found Thomas Newberry's address, a modest house with a well-kept garden. The man who answered the door was in his 70s, with a shock of white hair and familiar eyes. "You must be Nathan," he said, as if he'd been expecting him. "You look just like your father." Over coffee at Newberry's kitchen table, the truth emerged. Thomas had been Eleanor's first love before she met Nathan's father. They had reconnected after her husband's death, keeping their relationship private to avoid the jealousy of her other children. Eleanor knew what they were doing, Thomas explained, sliding an old photograph across the table. She hired a private investigator 3 years ago when money started disappearing. The photo showed a younger Eleanor with Thomas, both smiling widely. "There's something else you should know," Thomas said hesitantly. "After your father died, Eleanor discovered something in his papers. Anthony and Diana, they're not his biological children." Nathan stared in disbelief. "What? Your mother was married briefly before she met your father. A short, unhappy union. When she and your father got together, he adopted them legally, raised them as his own. But you were their only biological child together." The revelation struck Nathan like a physical blow. "Does this have something to do with the theft?" he asked. Thomas nodded grimly. "They found out about their parentage years ago. I think that's when the resentment started. But there's more." He produced a thick folder. "Victor Blackwell has been helping them systematically loot not just your mother's accounts, but your company as well." Nathan flipped through the documents, his anger building. Bank transfers authorized by Vanessa, who had insisted on handling the company books. Property deals where Anthony had posed as Nathan's business partner. Loans taken out against company assets without his knowledge. Why didn't she tell me? Nathan demanded. She was gathering evidence, Thomas replied. And she was afraid for your safety. Blackwell has dangerous connections. As if on cue, Nathan's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Back off, or you'll regret it. The money's gone. Accept it. Nathan looked up at Thomas. I need to go back. There's something I need to do. When Nathan returned home that night, he found Vanessa waiting, a glass of wine in hand, and concern painted perfectly on her face. Where have you been? I've been worried sick, she said, reaching for him. Nathan stepped back. Have you really? Her expression faltered. Of course. It's been a difficult day for all of us. Has it? Nathan moved to the liquor cabinet and poured himself a whiskey. Tell me, how long have you been working with Blackwell? The glass nearly slipped from Vanessa's fingers. I don't know what you're talking about. The offshore accounts, the forged signatures, the embezzlement from my company. Nathan's voice remained eerily calm. My mother knew everything, Vanessa. She has records of every transaction. Vanessa's facade cracked. Your precious mother never thought I was good enough for you. Diana and Anthony told me what she was really like, controlling, manipulative. We deserve that money after everything. Everything what? Nathan interrupted. After she put you through college? After she welcomed you into the family? After she loaned us the money to buy this house? Vanessa's eyes narrowed. You have no proof of anything. Nathan smiled coldly. That's where you're wrong. And tomorrow, the police will have it too. The color drained from Vanessa's face. You're bluffing. Try me. Later that night, Nathan heard Vanessa on the phone, speaking urgently in hushed tones. The next morning, she was gone, along with her jewelry and the contents of their joint account. The investigation moved quickly once Nathan turned over his mother's evidence. Federal agents had apparently been watching Blackwell for years, suspecting him of running a sophisticated fraud operation targeting wealthy families. Nathan's case broke it wide open. Anthony was arrested at Chicago O'Hare, attempting to board a flight to the Cayman Islands. Diana was found at her lake house, frantically burning documents. Vanessa remained at large, though her accounts had been frozen. At his mother's funeral, Nathan stood alone by the grave, the other mourners keeping a respectful distance from the family scandal. As the service concluded, a hand touched his shoulder. Mr. Russo? I'm Detective Laura Montgomery. The woman was tall, with intelligent eyes and a firm handshake. I'd like to speak with you about your wife's whereabouts. Over the following weeks, Nathan worked closely with Montgomery, piecing together the extent of the conspiracy. Blackwell had targeted Eleanor years ago, recognizing her vulnerability after her husband's death. He'd then manipulated Anthony and Diana's resentment, eventually recruiting Vanessa when she expressed frustration about Nathan's devotion to his family business rather than her social ambitions. They were planning to leave you bankrupt, Montgomery explained during one of their meetings. Once the money was gone, Vanessa would file for divorce, claiming your financial mismanagement destroyed the marriage. Nathan couldn't help but laugh bitterly. And I never saw it coming. People rarely do when it's family, she replied with unexpected gentleness. The investigation revealed that the conspiracy went deeper than Nathan had imagined. Several other families had been targeted by Blackwell's organization. As Nathan helped build the case, he found unexpected strength in the pursuit of justice, not just for himself, but for all of Blackwell's victims. 6 months after Eleanor's death, Vanessa was apprehended in Mexico. Nathan watched impassively as she was led into the courthouse for arraignment, refusing to meet his eyes. Diana and Anthony had already accepted plea deals, providing testimony against Blackwell in exchange for reduced sentences. That evening, Nathan returned to his mother's house, which he'd kept despite the will's instructions. He hadn't been able to bring himself to sell it yet. Thomas Newberry was waiting on the porch. You did it, Thomas said simply. Nathan nodded. She would have been proud, I think. She was always proud of you. Thomas handed him an old cigar box. She wanted you to have this when it was all over. Inside the box, Nathan found photographs of his parents, happy moments frozen in time. a handwritten recipe for his father's famous Sunday sauce, his mother's wedding ring, and a final note. Nathan, by now, the truth has come to light. I'm sorry for the pain this has caused you, but not for protecting you as long as I could. Some will say I should have told you sooner, but a mother's instinct is to shield her child, even when that child is a grown man. What matters now is what you build from here. The foundation of lies has been swept away. What replaces it is entirely up to you. Remember that family isn't always blood. It's the people who stand by you when others fall away. All my love, Mom. Nathan folded the note carefully and looked up at Thomas. She mentioned family not always being blood. Was she talking about you? Thomas smiled sadly. Partly, but there's someone else you should meet. He gestured toward a car parked on the street, where a young woman now stood watching them uncertainly. This is Olivia, Thomas said as she approached. Eleanor helped her escape an abusive marriage 5 years ago, set her up with a new identity, a job at her foundation. She's been like a daughter to your mother ever since. Olivia extended her hand. Your mother spoke of you often, Mr. Russo. She said you were the only one who truly inherited your father's integrity. As the three of them sat on the porch sharing stories of Eleanor late into the evening, Nathan felt something he hadn't experienced since before his mother's illness, a sense of belonging. These strangers connected by Eleanor's kindness were somehow more family than those who shared his name. 1 year later, Nathan stood in the newly dedicated Eleanor Russo Memorial Garden at the community hospital. The prosecution of Blackwell and his associates had concluded successfully, and Nathan had rebuilt his construction company with honest partners. Detective Montgomery, Laura, as he now called her, stood beside him at the dedication ceremony. Their professional relationship had gradually evolved into something more personal. Neither rushed it, both carrying scars from betrayal, but the foundation was solid. Thomas and Olivia had become fixtures in Nathan's life. Sunday dinners a new tradition in Eleanor's old house, which Nathan had ultimately decided to keep. Together, they had established the Eleanor Russo Foundation, supporting victims of financial fraud and domestic abuse. As the small crowd dispersed after the ceremony, Laura squeezed his hand. You okay? Nathan gazed at the garden, bright with his mother's favorite flowers. You know, for the first time in a long time, I think I am. In his pocket was his mother's final letter, worn from repeated readings. He no longer needed to take it out to remember the words that had changed everything. Instead of breaking him, the truth had ultimately set him free. The past couldn't be changed, but the future, that was still unwritten. And Nathan Russo was finally ready to begin a new chapter.